The billboard blinked once, then twice. And then it lit up with her face glowing, laughing, kissing someone who wasn't me. I stopped dead in the middle of Times Square. The hot dog I'd just bitten turned to ash in my mouth. Car horns blared. Neon lights buzzed overhead. The scent of roasted peanuts and exhaust swirled around me, but I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. The photo was everywhere. On the corner screen, on someone's phone beside me, even on the LED ribbon above the Adidas store. Her lips soft painted coral pressed against his. His hand was on her lower back, like it belonged there. My wife. My Ava. People began to whisper. Isn't that the woman from that charity ad? That's Ava Knight, right? Married to what's his name again? Me. My fingers trembled as I pulled out my phone. Dozens of notifications. My brother. My manager. Even my mother. But it was the message from Ava that shattered me. I can explain. Please don't believe everything you see. I stared up again, and in that moment, with the city spinning around me, with 1,000 strangers capturing my humiliation in 4K, I realized something chilling. This wasn't a leaked photo. It was a campaign. Professional lighting. Perfect framing. Ava's signature gold bracelet is deliberately visible on her wrist. It wasn't a court moment. It was a declaration. I turned slowly, every sound muffled like I was underwater. Someone's camera clicked behind me. A young couple whispered as they passed. Isn't that him? The husband? I wanted to scream. To tear the screen down. To wake up. Instead, I stood there, heartbeat thundering, mouth dry, soul splintering as the world watched my wife kiss someone else, and smiled doing it. It started with her laugh. Not the forced, polite kind people offer at dull parties, but a genuine, belly-deep laugh that made everyone in the room lean in. We were at a gallery opening in Soho, both pretending to care about abstract shapes on canvas. She stood there in a crimson dress, wineglass dangling from her fingers, eyes locked on the piece in front of her like it had whispered something profound. I leaned in and said, "You're either the best liar in this room or the only one seeing something real." She laughed that laugh and turned to me. Why not both? That was Ava. Effortlessly magnetic, dangerously clever. I fell fast. I fell hard. She loved rainy mornings and hated small talk. She quoted Rumi and watched Shark Tank religiously. She sang off-key in the car, but somehow made it sound like a concert. She kissed like she meant it, always with both hands on my face, like she needed to anchor herself or risk floating away. Our first kiss was in the back of the cab stuck in traffic on the Brooklyn Bridge. Horns were blaring, the driver was cursing, and she just looked at me and said, "If we don't kiss now, I might regret it forever." So I kissed her, and I never stopped. She moved into my apartment 3 months later, the kind of whirlwind romance people write songs about. We painted the walls together, danced barefoot in the kitchen, and made promises without needing to say them out loud. When I asked her to marry me, she didn't cry. She laughed again, that same first-night laugh, and said, "God, it's about time." Our wedding was a dream dipped in golden sunlight. She walks down the aisle barefoot in the grass, her veil caught in the wind like it had a life of its own. My best man whispered, "You lucky bastard," and I believed it with every inch of my soul. The first year was magic. Late-night pizza rooms. Someday crossword battles. Notes left in jacket pockets that read things like, "Missing you already even when we just left for work." She made life feel lighter, like the world didn't lean so heavy anymore. And when things got hard, a miscarriage, my father's stroke, a lawsuit that nearly bankrupted my firm, she was solid. She was there. Ava didn't run from storms. She walked right into them with me. I remember one night, after a particularly brutal day at work, I came home to find our tiny apartment lit with candles. She'd made lasagna from scratch, burned but proud, and said, "This is our bunker. Nothing gets in unless we let it." I kissed her forehead and whispered, "You and me? Always," she said. "Even when it's hard, especially then." That was the dream. That was a lie. Because now, standing beneath a billboard that immortalized her betrayal, I realized Ava had always known how to create moments. She knew how to script the perfect life, just like she knew how to stage the perfect photo. I wasn't just her husband. I was her audience. It started small. It always does. A forgotten anniversary dinner. Her phone is always on silent. The way she started locking the bathroom door even though she never used to. At first, I told myself it was stressful. She was busy with the launch of her non-profit, juggling interviews and board meetings. I'd even bragged to my friends, "She's blowing up. I'm just trying to keep up with her." But there were moments, unsettling ones. Like the night she came home at 2 a.m., smelling faintly of someone else's cologne. Sharp, peppery, expensive. She said she'd been at a networking event. Her eyes sparkled when she said it, but there was a delay a beat too long between the explanation and the smile. Or the time I caught her standing on the balcony in the cold, whispering into her phone. When I stepped outside, she flinched like I'd startled her and quickly ended the call. "Just a donor," she said, stuffing the phone into her coat pocket. He's a bit intense. Then there was the charger. One morning, as she rushed out the door, her phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at it without meaning to. A message preview lit up the screen. "Unknown. You looked stunning last night. I still taste you on my lips." I froze. My stomach dropped. She snatched the phone up before I could say a word. "Spam," she said too quickly. "Creeps text random numbers all the time." She kissed my cheek. Said, "Don't worry, babe." But I did. I started to. I tried to fight it, this gnawing feeling that something was unraveling under the surface. I told myself I was overthinking. That all couples go through phases. Maybe I was the one pulling away. But then came the whispered warning. We were at a friend's rooftop party. A woman I barely knew, Grace, Ava's old college roommate, leaned close to me while Ava was inside getting drinks. "She's always been good at making people fall in love with her," she said, voice low. "Just make sure she's not still auditioning." I blinked. What's that supposed to mean? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Nothing. Just to don't lose yourself trying to keep up with her light. Sometimes it burns. She walked away before I could ask anything more. That night, I watched Ava sleep. She looked peaceful, beautiful, untouchable. But for the first time since I'd met her, I felt like I was lying next to a stranger. The photo wasn't an accident. I found that out 3 days after it went viral, not from her lips, but from her laptop. She was in the shower. Her phone had been locked tighter than a vault lately, but her MacBook still auto-logged in. She'd gotten careless. Or maybe she just didn't think I'd ever look. I didn't mean to pry, not at first. I was just searching for clarity. Some scrap of reason to explain the billboard, the kiss, the smirk she wore in that image like she was proud of it. Then I saw the folder. Campaign Assets Project Phoenix. Inside were 27 high-resolution photos of Ava and him. Different outfits, different locations. All staged, all perfectly curated. Each file was labeled like a marketing rollout. Teaser01.jpg, release day kiss.jpg, viral shot final.jpg. I opened an email thread between her and a brand manager named Colin. The subject line made my skin go cold. Launch strategy, soft betrayal, hard buzz. "Ava, this is it. The kiss is the shot. We roll it out Monday, then trigger the crisis interview by Thursday. Trust me. This will make you a household name. People love a complicated woman, especially when she breaks the rules." See, I couldn't breathe. My ears rang. I barely heard the water shut off. She walked out wrapped in a towel, humming to herself, hair dripping down her shoulders. She didn't see me sitting on the edge of the bed, her laptop open in front of me. When she did, she froze. "What is this?" I asked. My voice didn't even sound like mine. She stared at me for a long second. No panic, just calculation. Then, "It's business." My stomach turned. "Business? You staged a fake affair and let the world think you were cheating on your husband May for publicity? It's not fake, she said quietly, pulling the towel tighter, but it is controlled. Do you know how hard it is to stay relevant? To get eyes on a cause? Everyone wants a villain and a victim. This way, I get to be both. I stood up slowly. You used me. Our marriage. Our life. She sighed, almost annoyed. You always said you believed in my vision. I just scaled it. A bitter laugh escaped me. You kissed a man in front of the world, Ava. You sold our love for headlines. It's not personal, she whispered. My voice cracked. It was never anything but personal. We stared at each other, two strangers wearing familiar faces. Then she said the one thing I'd never forget. If I didn't do it, someone else would have. At least this way, I'm in control. That was the moment something inside me shattered. Not because she kissed another man, but because she didn't regret it. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't ask her to stay or beg her to explain it better. I just walked out, barefoot, shirtless, into the street. The cold concrete bit at my feet, but I welcomed it. Let it ground me. Let it hurt. Somewhere behind me, she was still talking, I think. Justifications, maybe. Warnings. Apologies crafted by PR hands. I didn't care. I kept walking. Down the block. Around the corner. Past the bodega with the flickering neon sign we used to laugh at when we were drunk at midnight. The wind slapped me, bitter and real. I stopped under a streetlight, blinked up at the dirty New York sky, and let the ache settle in. She didn't just cheat. She calculated. Every smile. Every kiss. Every moment we shared branded, repackaged, monetized. I was a supporting character in her rise. And the worst part? She didn't fall in love with someone else. She fell in love with herself. I sat on a bench across from the subway station, my heart thudding like a war drum in my chest. The city moved on around me. A cab honked. A man argued with his girlfriend on speakerphone. Somewhere, music played from a passing car. Life didn't care about heartbreak. And that was oddly comforting, because if the world didn't care, then I didn't owe the world anything. Not silence. Not grace. Not even dignity. I owed myself the truth. And that truth was simple. I had been a fool. But I wouldn't stay one. I closed my eyes and saw her again, not the woman from our wedding, glowing and barefoot in the grass, but the one I'd seen hours ago, wrapped in a towel, calmly explaining the destruction of our life like it was a business plan. Something cold settled in my stomach. Something clear. She thought she had written the ending. She thought I'd crawl away, broken and forgettable. But she forgot something. I wasn't just her husband. I was her witness. And now I was her reckoning. I stood up slowly. My feet were bleeding. My hands were shaking. But I was breathing. Broken, but still breathing. And that was enough. Ava thought I'd disappear. She thought I'd pack a bag, cry to a therapist, and quietly fade while she wrote the algorithm into stardom. She forgot I was still in the room, still watching. And I don't vanish. I evolve. The first week, I said nothing. Didn't block her. Didn't comment on the photos, the headlines, the pity texts from mutual friends. I let her bask in it, the attention, the chaos, the carefully manufactured heartbreak she was selling to the public. He's so hurt, she told an interviewer, dabbing a fake tear. But I had to choose myself. They clapped. She trended. And I planned. You see, I wasn't just her husband. I was her mirror. Her confidant. Her co-founder. I knew where the bodies were buried. I helped her bury them. Emails. Private voice notes. Contracts signed under shell names. The stage cheating was only the tip of it. There were deals that violated sponsor clauses, non-profit funds shuffled between accounts to prop up image campaigns. She told me everything because she never thought I'd need it. But now, every memory was evidence. And I was patient. I started small. I leaked one file anonymously, a receipt trail showing how she funneled donation money to a personal stylist under media prep. It made page 9 of a gossip blog. Barely a ripple. But I watched her flinch in her next interview. One crack. The second leak was more direct, a voice memo from her to Colin. Let's make the audience mad. Make them talk. People don't donate unless they're emotionally provoked. Let's give them pain, then give them redemption. I'll cry on the podcast. This time, she trended, but not the way she wanted. I still hadn't spoken publicly. Not a tweet. Not a statement. That made it worse. They called me classy, hurt, and dignified. She tried texting me. Please stop. You're ruining everything. Then, we can fix this. Just let me explain. Part of me wanted to respond. I remembered the good times dancing in the living room at midnight, her head on my chest, the way she said, "You're my calm in the storm." But that wasn't love. It was an illusion, and I refused to be her alibi anymore. So, I waited for the right time. Her Forbes feature dropped Monday morning, How Ava Blake Turned Pain into Power. I dropped the final file Monday night. A full exposé. A 30-minute audio file of her planning the entire scandal with her PR firm, admitting the affair was partially real, partially staged, and completely mulletized. I included bank records, NDA drafts, and a clip of her laughing. Of course he'll stay quiet. He's too proud to fight. That's the beauty of men like him. It took 12 hours to go viral. She tried to spin it, of course she did. Claimed I doctored the files. Blamed AI. Threatened legal action. But the internet has a short attention span and a long memory. And receipts don't lie. Sponsors pulled out. Board members resigned. Her non-profit was frozen pending investigation. But I didn't gloat, didn't post a single told you so. Instead, I sat in our old apartment, now mine again, watching the same rooftop from where she once whispered into her phone. Only now silence. I won. Not because I screamed louder, but because I waited. I let her climb her mountain of lies, and then I kicked away the foundation. She wanted a show. I gave her the performance of a lifetime. The gala was her last stand. Ava arrived dressed like royalty crimson silk, diamond drop earrings, the kind of smile you wear when you think the worst is behind you. She didn't know what was waiting. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and fake sincerity. Cameras flashed as she took the stage. Behind her, a towering screen displayed her campaign slogan, Resilience, Redemption, Ava Blake. I stood in the back, quiet, invisible. She began her speech, rehearsed, polished, almost convincing. Pain teaches us who we are, she said, and I've learned to own my truth. Then the screen behind her flickered. A pause. A glitch. And then my voice. Let's give them pain, then give them redemption. Her smile faltered. The crowd hushed as the screen lit up again, not with her logo, but with the truth. The audio. The receipts. The lies, in her own words, projected 30 feet tall behind her flawless silhouette. Her eyes darted around the room. That's been edited. No one believed her. Phones came out. Whispers turned into gasps. One of the sponsors stormed out. Another shook their head and looked away. Ava stood there, frozen. For the first time in a long time, she had no script. I stepped forward, just close enough for her to see me. Her eyes met mine. Not with fury, with fear. She stepped off the stage, stumbling slightly in those designer heels, and marched toward me like a woman desperate to rewrite the ending. "You did this," she hissed, low enough for only me to hear. I didn't flinch. "No, you did this. I just gave them the ending you wrote. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Around us, everything crumbled. Donors pulling out, cameras catching every angle of her fall, whispers louder than applause. And I? I turned around and walked away. The apartment is quieter now. No camera clicks. No rehearsed laughter echoing from the kitchen. Just the hum of the fridge, the occasional creak of old wood, and the soft rhythm of my own breath steady, certain. She's gone. Not just from here, but from everywhere. The deals are dead. The brand is tarnished. The image shattered. Her name trends now, not in admiration, but in cautionary tales. When influence turns into manipulation, one podcast titled it, The Ava Blake Collapse. I don't listen to them anymore. I don't need to. Revenge isn't loud. It's sitting in peace with yourself after walking through fire. It's waking up and not checking if someone's watching. It's drinking your morning coffee and tasting the truth, bitter but honest. Sometimes I still dream of her. Not the villain. The version I loved. The girl who used to leave notes on my laptop. The one who danced barefoot in the hallway when it rained. I mourn that version, the one that might have been real, even if only for a moment. But I don't regret leaving her behind. Pain carves us into who we're meant to become. And I'm not the man she married anymore. I'm sharper now. Wiser. Quieter. There's a woman I see at the cafe across from the park. She reads poetry and never posts about it. Doesn't know who I am, or maybe she does and doesn't care. She smiles with her eyes. Not her camera. Maybe someday I'll speak to her. But for now, I heal. Not for a headline. Not for applause. Just for me. Ava once said, stories are currency. She was right. She spent hers on fame. I spent mine on truth. And in the end, the truth was worth far more. She built an empire on illusion, and I buried it with reality.